Imagine being told that playing a video game could actually improve child reading skills. This sounds counterintuitive. Video games are usually seen as enemies of children's attention, as entertainment or distraction from books and homework. Yet, a growing body of research suggests that video games can actually enhance literacy development. Video games in the modern era are now an essential part of pop culture, with millions of people playing them every day. Scholars argue that it's logical to explore their potential as literacy tools both in school and at home. In fact, one systematic review included 55 studies using video games or apps to improve reading. In this video essay, we'll take a scholarly journey through how video games support literacy. Our thesis is that video games can significantly enhance literacy development by fostering active learning, engaging players through multimodal content, and encouraging social interaction around reading and writing. Let's press play on the discussion. One way video games boost literacy is the active learning they promote. Unlike passive learning, video games put players in charge. They must make decisions and solve problems. According to James Paul Gee, a pioneer in game-based learning research, active learning involves experiencing the world in new ways, forming new affiliations, and preparing for future learning. These aspects of active learning are baked into good games. A player navigating a complex role-playing game is constantly reading clues, dialogues, and item descriptions to advance. They're not just reading for its own sake, they're reading to achieve goals. This purposeful, active reading mirrors the kind of engaged reading that is wanted in education. Research backs up that this engagement yields real literacy gains. In a striking study, Franceschini and colleagues found that just 12 hours of playing action video games improved reading abilities in children with dyslexia. These learners increased their reading speed more than what would normally happen from an entire year of traditional reading development. How is this possible? Action games train the brain's attentional and visual processing systems. The children had to actively focus and respond quickly during gameplay, which sharpened their attention. Improved attentional skills then carried over into better reading performance. Active learning in games also involves a cycle of challenge, feedback, and adaptation. Players try a strategy, see the results, and adjust, much like a student might try a method to decode a tough sentence and refine their approach with feedback, sort of the cycles of expertise that Gee talks about. Because this learning is active, players are emotionally invested. They feel agency and motivation. A child may not willingly read a textbook for an hour, but they might eagerly read in-game journals to solve a mystery, because those texts are immediately relevant to their goals. However, video games don't just offer text in isolation. They envelop players in multimodal environments. Multimodal simply means using multiple modes of communication at once: images, sound, symbols, movement, and words. Gee calls this the multimodal principle, noting that in video games, meaning is built up through various channels and not just words. Think about a game like The Elder Scrolls Skyrim. We're reading dialogue, but also hearing characters speak, seeing the world's landscapes, and performing actions. All these channels work together to convey the story. This multimodal presentation makes reading easier and more meaningful because the visuals and the audio contextualize the text. In traditional print, a struggling reader has only the words on the page. In a video game, that same reader gets reinforcement, pictures, animations, or audio cues that help explain the text. According to Gee, good video games give words meaning by associating them with actions, images, and dialogue. Players often get information just in time, exactly when it's relevant to the current task. This means a player is never reading a random text. They're reading in the moment, with all the multimodal context to support understanding. This multimodal engagement doesn't just aid understanding, it also helps learners stay engaged. Many educational reading apps and games leverage this by combining text with interactive media. Children often associate tablets and games with fun and reward, which can lower their resistance to reading practice. The multimodal nature of games sugarcoats the text. Reading is seamlessly integrated with the graphics and the gameplay, so sometimes kids won't even realize how much they're reading. All of this now has portrayed an image of a lone gamer reading text on a screen, but this is only part of the story. Many video games today are highly social, and this social interaction can be a major driver of literacy development. Whether it's teaming up with friends in an online game, chatting on a Minecraft server, or posting on a game forum, communication is constant, and many of it is text-based. A 2021 survey found that 4 in 5 young people regularly read or write something related to video games. Games are not only multimodal but also social spaces, where reading and writing become tools for interaction. G introduced the concept of affinity groups in gaming, communities bonded by shared interest in a game. These groups cut across traditional demographics. What unites them is their collective engagement in a game world. Once a learner joins an affinity group, they often have to read and write to participate. A young Pokemon fan might join an online discussion board to trade tips. To belong, they'll read others' posts and write their own responses. The motivation is social. They want to share strategies or ask questions. In doing so, they unwittingly practice composition, clarity in writing, and even persuasion, all classic literacy skills fostered in a real communicative context. Online multiplayer games like World of Warcraft are famous for the rich literacy activities they generate. Players coordinate raids via text chat and consult fan-made guides, some of which are more complex than typical school reading. Yet players might eagerly consume these texts because it helps them succeed in the game. A player might start by reading quest logs, then move to reading online forums for character advice, and eventually write their own guide. Each step is a deepening engagement with written language spurred by the social nature of the game's community. Also, this social interaction isn't only online. In living rooms and classrooms alike, games spark conversations. Two students playing a narrative-driven game might pause to discuss a clue from an in-game letter, essentially doing close reading as a team. The game provides a shared context that makes reading tasks more authentic. Even watching someone else play can involve literacy. Chat messages fly back and forth, dialogues on the screen, and viewers often comment in text form. We set out with the claim that video games can enhance literacy development through active learning, multimodal engagement, and social interaction, and the evidence supports this. In video games, learners are active participants who read to meet goals, not passive information absorbers. We saw concrete proof in studies where children's reading speeds improved after action gaming, showing how engagement in games can translate to literacy gains. Games develop readers in multimodal content, words supported by images, sound, and interactivity. This context-rich presentation means players often comprehend complex texts that might overwhelm them in isolation. The social ecosystems around games turn reading and writing into communal activities. Gaming groups encourage players to read, write, and create for an audience, whether strategizing in chat, contributing to wikis, or crafting fanfiction. What are the implications for education? Teachers and parents might consider meeting young learners in the gaming worlds they love. A teacher could use a game story as a springboard for reading assignments, or let students create game levels as responses to literature. A tech-savvy teacher might even come up with the task of creating their own game to share with their students. The research suggests that when kids are motivated and active, they tackle challenging reading tasks voluntarily. Games definitely provide that motivation. Another implication is to embrace 21st century literacy. Literacy today isn't confined to paper. It's about navigating complex multimodal information. Video games are training grounds for this literacy. Players constantly blend text with visual media and interactive decision making. Finally, the factor of fun plays in. A child who might avoid a worksheet or a book will happily spend hours reading within a game if it means achieving a specific goal that they care about. The literacy development that occurs in those playful hours is very real. By leveraging active learning, multimodal content, and social interaction, video games can level up traditional literacy instruction, making reading and writing an adventure rather than a chore.